I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is a,
I'm just
that is a
sad
sad
clown.
clown.
My address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
This is The Plague. We got Pony Express, and then the guest on the show today. I'll just say this high impact man. He started the Woodshed AO. If you've ever been down there, he also was the first.
Before it was ruined.
Before Pony took over, he was also the first PAX, I think, to lead us through Iron PAX Challenge. Also recently helped us with the F3 Omaha Foundation event and organizing some of the donations, giveaways, family fun night there. So Ponzi is our guest on the show this time. And Ponzi, I think you have also been impactful to me. I know Pony is still getting to know you, but I would just say I'm honored to have you on the show. And where we typically like to start is just by getting a little bit of background. Who EH'd you? What is your name? Where does that come from? And then also walk us through like some of your favorite memories. And if you don't have any, I have a couple of my favorite memories of Ponzi. But yeah, start us off, man, and welcome.
I kind of would rather hear your favorite memories first, but all right. So there were three questions there. I guess the first one, who EH'd me? His name is Specimen. I think he's posted recently. We got to get him back out still. But Specimen EH'd me, and I will say his wife also. She messaged me on Twitter because she knew wait time, and I was supposed to be one of the big hurts in my life to this day that I will forever carry with me is that I'm not a true Redwood, because I fear sacked the first 2 weeks and I told Specimen I would be there. And then I got scared and didn't go both times. And then the second time I told him, don't even text me, I'll be there next week. I was like so fed up with myself. How I got the name Ponzi, I was day trading and also a male nurse, or a nurse, as Plague and I would say. And I did not want to lead with male nurse because I knew from experience in college, and I'm very wise, that I would get named Gaylord Fokker like right from the start. And so I was just like, no, I'm not going to give him this ammo. And so I just said I was a day trader. And Ethanol, shout out to Ethanol, throughout Ponzi scheme was like, Ponzi scheme, Ponzi. Honestly, I thought he said Fonzi, and I was pretty pumped about that. I was like, yeah, the Fonz. I would be a good Fonzie. And then I found out I was Ponzi, and I absolutely hated it for the longest time. I've come to accept it. I kind of am a schemer ish. But also the other thing is, how everybody says the first time through Namerama, you say F and G. I was trying to be like fun and playful, and the group really, I don't think, was there yet at being funnyful with each other. If you've seen some of the first Nameramas, they're pretty terrible, and everybody's very serious and tight-lipped. And so I went before Specimen. And so I said, Drew White, I think it was 32 or 33 at the time. And so Drew White, 32, Specimen Senior. And I thought that'd be so funny. And guys would laugh. Nobody laughed. They all were just like, who is this dude? And then wait time even give me a look. And he was like, FNG, welcome. And I was like, whoops. So that's how I got my name. The other question was what my favorite memories. I've been talking a lot.
You're doing great, man.
You're doing a good job.
You go ahead. Why don't you give me your favorite memories first, and then I'll try to think of some along the way.
I was gonna say, so Merch. I remember one of Merch's I think it might have been his first day, and we were out at the Aldrich Murph, and we come around the corner. And Ponzi, I can't remember why, but Ponzi was standing there pretending like he was going to the bathroom in the woods, and he just had his he was praying like his pants were down, and he had like a roll of toilet paper. And I'll just never forget Merch. It was like his first time, and I remember him thinking like, "What is going on?" What was the reasoning for that? I can't remember.
Oh man, there's two stories there. I don't know how much time we have. I'll give you the brief one, and if you want me to come back to that, I mean, almost all of F3 Omaha knows at this point, but I had to leave a workout mid-workout to go poop in the woods at Burke, and there's no woods at Burke, just FYI, so somewhere out at Burke, and so then I got this idea. I believe it was an April Fool's cue. I'm fairly certain that's what it was, and or it was April 1st, and so I was working on some ideas I was supposed to be on the queue. And so I had some ideas of like how I could, prank everybody, and especially wait time. And Tater Tot also had an idea that came to play later in that one as well. That was really good. So my idea was to make wait time think that I fart sacked the queue and that I didn't show up. And then I also brought like a roll of toilet paper, and I had a bunch of toilet paper like laid out on the track or on the trail leading to the playground. And then I had my phone light shining up right on my butt. And so when they came around the corner, I was in the woods, and it looked like I missed the queue because I was pooping in the woods. And then I was like, "Oh, hey guys!" And so then the queue continued. And then Tater Tot's prank on that one was to have the police come mid-workout and tell wait time we were being too loud. And I'll never forget, wait time gives everybody like the hand, like, "Just stop, I got this." And he's like, "I got this, guys. I got this." And we're like, "Oh, okay, wait time. You go handle it." And but that was the other April Fool's joke.
That was awesome. Yeah, I remember the police officer was like, "Yeah, somebody named Paw Patrol called in to complain," and then at that point we all
yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like, yeah. No, I also think Ponzi. Some of my other favorite memories. I struggle having fun. I'm a little too serious a lot of the times, and so you've led several workouts that have just been a blast. Dodgeball, kickball, all sorts of those. I don't know if you have a favorite memory there, but I've still got some scars from diving for a kickball one time.
I remember that. You laid out for that thing. You were on my team, so I was appreciative for that. Yeah, you know what? Actually, so it took me a little bit to kind of show my true colors at F3, probably in terms of having a good time and being funny. So my first cue, probably I didn't feel super comfortable doing that. I remember even during Womarama, I got so nervous I like threw a couple exercises to some other guys so they could count for a little bit. But then there was one actually at the woodshed after we started that where I did the woodshed winter games, and we played Duck Duck Goose, Name-A-Rama, and a few other games. I made it all like, because I was like, this is me. I grew up like Slow Roast and Baby Graham, my brothers, would make fun of me because I would turn everything I could into a game. And so finally I was like, all right, it's time to show my true colors here. I love making things into a game. I love competition. F3, we're not super competitive with each other. Shout out to Iron Packs. And so I thought I would do woodshed winter games, and was when I kind of first threw in some weirdness. Although my first woodshed workout too, I think we did some patty cake merkins and other fun things. I remember you at that one, Plague. You had your backwards red cap on. You were talking a lot of smack about my cue, and I said, "Hey, if you want a cue one, feel free."
Yeah, I struggled with that at the beginning for sure. The fun workouts. Talk me through. So we've got a lot of different experiences in F3, but just kind of where are you at today? I mean, you've been doing this now for over 3 years, and kind of in line with the Fitness Fellowship and Faith, kind of the 3 Fs. Where are you at? Where are you headed? Where do you want to grow some more? Or give me your thoughts on that.
Well, it's a pretty good question there, Plague. Why don't you guys send these beforehand? God. So no, just kidding. So for me, I mean, I'll back up a little. When I first started F3, I've said this a few times that like when I've queued, and I don't know if guys like even hear and stuff like this, but for me, like when I first started, I was pretty lonely, honestly. Didn't have a lot of friends because I was a nurse. So it's like most of my friends were, girls I worked with who really like, I wasn't friends with them outside of work. So I had wanted some male friendship in my life. I don't know if I totally knew. I mean, I guess I kind of did, because I told Tate that I was like, I miss having like guy friends, to golf with and stuff. And so F3, really gave me that. I honestly probably was a little bit at arm's length at first. I didn't really like it the first time I came. Thought it was kind of weird, a little too military for me. And then it grew on me. So, and then the other funny thing, which I know I'm backing up a bit here, but I wanted friendships in my life, but I would never go to cafeteria. So like I'd go home and meditate and like journal out some positive things I was grateful for that day. And then finally one day I'm like driving away, and it like this dawns on me, that moment where it's like, wait, I've been wanting friendships, but like I won't go to coffee with these guys once. I keep going home to meditate, be by myself. Like I'm the problem here, right? So anyway, so that's what I was, for F3, that really gave me friendships. And then this year, like we moved in January to Papillion, and I'll just be honest on the podcast. I haven't really thrown myself into Papillion and getting to know guys yet. I know a few. So some of it feels like starting over. So I think I've just been hesitant to do that. I've posted less this year. I told this, I think it was probably Folsom or someone the other day, that I said, I realize I've got a little bit of a selfish mindset, and that I feel like I've gotten a lot of the friendships I was looking for. And so I think that's led to me maybe posting a little bit less, like, I'll post a couple times a week, one or two, and not seeing it as like, well, there's still other guys looking for those friendships. And that I'm not going to say this on here, because then you guys are going to make me accountable, that I should maybe post a little more. But so I'm about 1 to 2 a week right now is where I'm at. I've done this for 3 years, and my body, you can't see the Zoom, but it still looks like this, which is like not great. And so I decided, you know what, I was going to add a little weightlifting this year as well. And I mean, Pony's been talking about how much I look bulked up these days. So there you have it. There's where I was and where I'm at.
Well, let me stop you there. And since the audience can't actually see you, I can attest you do look much better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so it must be the weightlifting. I mean, I would still encourage you to come post. You are missed, especially at the woodshed.
Hey, I was there Friday.
A couple things. Yeah. I know. Yeah, no, I'm stoked that you were there. A couple things to unpack there. You talked about your move and, being out west and trying to get plugged out, or I guess south, being out and getting plugged in there. That can be hard. I mean, we're going through a time where F3 is blowing up. What you're saying resonates with me too, because I am definitely a creature of habit. Hey, I go to woodshed every Friday. I like to hit a pre-run on Thursday, and Tuesday's going to be at the Coliseum probably. I don't know. Just hearing you say it makes me want to shoot. I need to venture out probably a little bit further. I don't know. Maybe I'll hold you accountable. You can hold me accountable. We'll make our way around Omaha. For me, struggle a little bit back too was when we were growing. It was like, man, I missed the day. I kind of selfishly missed the days of being small. But I also know how much good I've got, and this has done for my life and for me and for my family. And so I don't truly want it to stay small, but I was at one point. I think I had a lunch with Wait Time, and I told him that I was like mourning the loss of how small we were, which sounds stupid, right? But that was a tough thing for me as we were growing. But I mean, there's just so many good things happening from the growth that in the end, it's definitely worth it. Yeah, no, for sure. And then part of that, just on the small group side of being a smaller group, you do make those connections super quick with guys. Like you're probably able to find that male friendship that you're looking for. Maybe enter into a shield lock with a couple guys.
Roll Bar posted a thing about having a shield lock actually a few months back on Slack, and I'm not on Slack a ton. But that one hit me because I was like, I've been in the group a lot or a while, and I have like a lot of guys that say like, oh, they're my buddies, they're my friends. I didn't think I really had a great shield lock though, honestly. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think I've said like, hey, this is my shield lock. That's probably the issue there. So shout out to Roll Bar, his post had me thinking a lot about that, and I feel like I've gotten a little bit more intentional about like, okay, these are the guys that really like can hold me accountable. So
the thing that's important is to find guys that can hold you accountable for the things that you're working on. And then the other thing I would just comment is it's okay to go to the same sites. Like by design, that's why we keep trying to get more sites, is so we can have smaller groups and so that you don't have to go so far to find those groups. And so I think some of what we've done with like the khakis challenge, right? We've kind of said, hey, go to all the different sites, try to go to as many as you can. Well, that's kind of fun for a season, right? In October when we do that. But it's totally fine if you go to the site that's closest to your house and build relationships with the guys there, right? Because you're going to impact your community. So I don't think you need to feel guilty about that, but it's an interesting phenomenon that we do often feel guilty when we can't make it to all of the different sites. Ponzi, talk to us a little bit about Third F. I know you've got some close family ties related to faith, and then you've also spent some time kind of going on your own journey to figure out what it is you believe in, kind of the what. But talk to us about that if you would.
Yeah. Well, first, I think you did try to hold me accountable on how much I was on my cell phone, and I think I failed it. Like you kept trying to hold me accountable. I was like, yeah, I'll send to you later. So you did a good job. That was me. Faith journey. That is a long answer. I will say one thing. I mean, keep it F3 related. Pre F3, I really wasn't doing much outside of myself. Honestly, probably pretty selfish. And I wouldn't say I'm like, I'm not a Wentworth or a Lemon Law yet, but like in terms of those guys are always, I feel like, serving in the community. But definitely like, for me, so like just a simple thing is like Selleck started doing blood drives. So he and I started, we kind of started doing them together. And then I'm now, I think this will be my third year coming up here, do like a annual blood drive for my birthday. And so so I'm thinking outside of not just like, well, how am I putting action, I guess, to my faith, and how am I doing things in the community? On a personal note, I grew up a pastor's kid, and have a faith in God. And just about a year and a half ago, I've been going to my dad's church for years, and so just decided to take a break to kind of reset a little bit and make sure that I wasn't maybe doing things out of duty to family. And so Kate and I have taken about a year and a half off now of just going to church, but and just being a little bit more, I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure what I mean by a little more, but just taking a little break and a little rest from that, and trying to figure out, where we stand on things. And I don't want to be, I guess the epiphany, if you want me to go deep into it, is I realized that, there's the story of the prodigal son, and there's the brother who stays home, but he stays home for the wrong reasons, right? He's just trying to be the dutiful son. And so I just had this epiphany that that's kind of who I had kind of become. I was doing things a little bit out of duty, and just needed to have, I guess, a heart check, see where I was at. So got kind of deep. I hope that's all right.
No, that's perfectly fine. And I'm appreciative that you would even be willing to share that. Do you feel like F3 has kind of helped you in this past year and a half with, your time away, or kind of recalibrating, as you alluded to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes back to that shield lock question. I've had, Plague has multiple times asked me how it's going. And I told this to Kate actually just a couple nights ago. I had lunch with Grills on Wednesday, and Grills had asked me about it. And I said, the thing I appreciate about Grills, and I know we're not supposed to say nice things on here, but about each other, but I said, some people would ask me about, like, hey, are you going to church? How's that going? Because they maybe want me to go to their church, or they're trying to recruit me, or, whatever. With Grills, it's just a genuine, like, hey, how's that going? Where are you and Kate at with this? So those, honestly, I don't think anybody outside of F3's really asked me that. And I've had just a couple of guys within the group ask me how that's going. And so, and I do rely on the friendships, the circle of trust. I mean, if any pastors are listening, they'll want to mute this, but I get more from those circle of trust than I probably ever do from a sermon. I take, a lot of times I'll write down something from that day, like later in the day that I learned, and then especially when guys are vulnerable. I mean, I'll tell you, like, one of Folsom's first cues, he was extremely vulnerable with us. And I told him, I was like, that was one of the best COTs I've ever heard. Now he's since gotten carried away and they're all 20 minutes long, but that was one of his best. And and so long-winded way of saying, yeah, I get a ton out of that, and it has helped me. And when guys share their journeys and their struggles in that COT, that really is impactful for me.
I love the, you think about so F3 says the what, right? So what happens when we die, and what does that mean about the way we live our lives today? And what's really cool, and it's interesting because Bubbles mentioned a very similar thing, right? It's like, as you go on a spiritual journey to answer those questions, kind of taking your family along and leading your family in that same journey, right? Because ultimately you want your M and your shorties to be able to answer those questions too. And so to be able to genuinely say, hey, and it's also interesting, you mentioned the prodigal son, and just the similarity between that story in the Bible and like the sad clown, right? Like the guy who's doing everything he thinks he's supposed to do. I was going to ask, one of the things that I think you have done, Ponzi, too, for the group is also you've led several 2.0 workouts, which I know is a lot of fun for you, but talk to me about that, just like, because you are a really good dad. Like when I think about a dad who's willing to do whatever his kids want to do to have fun and to grow, and but talk to me about that. How have you maybe been able to share those skills with other guys, or maybe pick things up from other guys? What's been the drive for you there?
Well, thank you for that compliment. That means a lot. The 2.0 workouts, I think I can't remember how that started. I think mostly it's because, going back to the start, what you said, I've done some goopy workouts in the past, was a pediatric nurse for a while. So I think that's kind of how it like came about, was like, oh, hey, he's kind of weird and kids would like him. And so, so that's how I did those. And then, I kind of became the 2.0 guy for a little bit. Luckily, we've got some guys who are far more qualified now that are PE teachers, and some good dads as well. I would say I've been more impacted by the other guys than that I've seen parents in the group. And, like one that stands out for me is, and again, I can't believe I'm saying something nice about him, but Brazilian. He was one of the first that he's one of the first guys who had asked me to lunch and really got to know each other. And then as I got to know him more, and, I could tell he'd do anything for those girls of his and his wife. And just the way he talked about them, it's like, so for me, and I should I'll mention this. So before F3, I played in some adult like men's soccer leagues, and I always kind of hated them because afterwards, like the guys, they go out to the bar, which is fine, but kind of talk smack about being in a family, being family men, and you could tell like really weren't into it. And I was like, what? I love being a dad and a husband. Like for me, like, so I don't really relate with those guys. And this was like their night away and to kind of complain about stuff. And so F3 was far different in what I was looking for in that way. And that like, it was like guys who actually like were intentional about being dads, wanted to be good dads, wanted to be good husbands, and actually wanted to get better in those areas. And, and playing, like I would say, you're one of those guys. And, Pony, I mean, you're okay, but no, I'm just kidding. You're going to be a terrific dad, and you're already a great husband. Though maybe don't talk trash when you're trying to beat your wife in tennis, is all I got to say. But yeah, so for me, really being around these guys in F3, like encouraged me like, oh, it's not weird to want to be a good husband and a good dad. Right. And then there's tons of guys that come to mind, and I could name them all, but I don't want to like offend anybody. But yeah, I think I probably learned more from watching those guys than people probably learned from me.
Well, I'll tell you the example that I'm referencing here is a cue you had. This is out of the vault here, but back in 2019, you referenced a Ray Dalio quote, heroes inevitably experience at least one big failure that tests whether they have the resilience to come back and fight smarter and with more determination. And at the time, you had mentioned that you and Kate were helping your kids understand failure. And I feel like you've been able to tie several concepts from F3 and from you're a reader, so the books, the podcasts, whatever, and you've been able to tie that back in and teach your kids. So it's been really cool to just just get to be a part of that, experience that with.
I did want to make a comment about what you were saying about learning from other guys, and I think that's such a great message. And I think what F3 does is it puts you around inspiring men. Like every time I go and I meet people at these workouts, I am inspired by you, by Bubbles, by whomever, by a new FNG that's just coming out because they heard about us in the news. You know, there's little things that people teach you along the way, whether that be in a COT or if it's on a pre-run, that you can pick up and then like carry on into your life. And so really, I just want to make a comment about it. I think you hit it on the head. But then I did want to kind of ask you, you know, Plague had mentioned you started the Woodshed, and as the current site Q, I'm very grateful that you did that. But you've also took part in leading and helped plan the 2 Club Conundrum, and Plague had also mentioned your 2.0 workouts and the Iron Packs, as well as the F3 brick builder. I just kind of want to talk to you about what compels you to take these opportunities to lead.
So, well, I mean, they're all kind of different. The Woodshed was just, I mean, I reached out to Wait Time and told them it was kind of for selfish reasons. It was like, hey, I think at the time we had Murph and a Tuesday workout. I can't, and then Saturday. And I was like, man, I would love a Friday workout. And so I just messaged him. I was like, you know, if someone wanted to start one, how do you go about that? And he was like, you know, well, that to be someone I feel comfortable with. I feel pretty comfortable with you, you know, and like, and then I don't know why he let me run with it, and I had a blast doing it. Like but so that was kind of selfish. And then, you know, honestly, again, another thing that F3 had really helped me discover or realize about myself is like, you know, I like planning fun stuff and planning parties and having a good time. All selfishly because I like to have a good time, but I also like seeing others have a good time and have fun. And so F3 truly kind of put me back in touch with that side of myself. I'd say that I maybe like kind of lost or didn't realize was there. And so, you know, I don't really even remember I came up with the 2 Club Conundrum and me and Sella got started in it, but for some reason, and actually I'm not even sure I came up with it. I think it was like maybe I was golfing with Brazilian or something, and we were talking about how it'd be fun. And so if someone else came up with it, you know, let me know. I can't remember, so I hope I'm not screwing someone over here that came up with the idea. But yeah, I just like having fun, and I like and for me, I'm very much like, you know, life can be serious and hard sometimes, right? But if you don't enjoy it, like, what's the point of it? And so I really like to bring a little. I like to remind people that, you know, it's okay to have fun and not to take ourselves so freaking serious sometimes. And so that's. I don't know if I'm totally answering your question, but it's definitely.
No, you are, and I can.
Yeah.
You know, you are, and I can attest to that. And I'm very grateful. We did a co-queue about a month back, and the co-queue was, okay, well, we're going to play kickball because that's what Ponzi has done before. And I think 9 guys showed up because it was right in conjunction with the yard just opening up. The Woodshed's numbers had kind of dipped. And we're like, oh my God, there's only like 9 guys here. And I freaked out. I was like, oh, well, we can't play this game. We've got to switch to just a typical
your mind.
boot camp. Boot camp workout. We go through, do a little pre-thing or warm-a-rama, then a pre-thing. You're like, hey, man, this sucks. Let's go play wiffle ball. We can do it. I was like really reluctant to do it. I was like, no, I think we need to do this. The guys won't have as much fun. But I listened to you. We spent the last 20 minutes playing wiffle ball, and it was a blast. And I think everyone there had a great time. And that's just a great reminder, because I myself fall into that trap of, the workouts need to be tough. And for them to take me serious, I have to take this workout very serious, right? And that just couldn't have been more opposite of the actual point there, where when we made it fun, guys really opened up, and then they really started to like communicate with each other and just open up. It was great. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You go to work, it's like, you tell people, I started my day by playing wiffle ball, or I started my day by playing kickball today, right? Like that's pretty fun. I do like to give guys a heads up if I'm going to do it, because some guys, they do want to, like, you know, Plague's got to run at least 47 miles to feel good before the day started. And so, you know, you got to give them a heads up that you're going to do a wiffle ball or a kickball cue, or else, you know, they might be kind of bummed.
I do want to back up a little bit, because I had somebody ask me this recently. And so you started the Woodshed, and this was back in the day when we had some really creative AO names. Like the Monday Murph was called the Murph, which super creative there. But what's behind the name the Woodshed? What does that mean? Where did that come from? What was the inspiration?
Well, okay, so I do remember this one, and this is a shout out to Selleck, because I was trying to come up with where we should do it. I thought maybe Stinson Park. Selleck was like, let's go somewhere else, and so we talked about Elmwood, and then he and I had thrown out a bunch of names to each other, and then he was like, the woodshed, like take you out back to the woodshed for a beating, like. I mean, I don't know if that's how you guys are raised. No, but anyway, so it was like he came up with this idea of the woodshed, and I was like, oh yes, 100%, I'm in. And then yeah, it's like I mean, it's a very foresty, wooded area, so I think it works. But yeah, so it's go to the woodshed, and before Pony, it was like go out there and get a smackdown and a beatdown. Pony's kind of softened it up a little, but it was really solid. A place where guys went every week, and they knew like they were going to get a beat down. They were going to
play patty cake and play kickball.
Now they're just like, God, woodshed. It's so boring. But no, but truthfully, Pony, you've done a great job. And actually, I meant to tell him this the other day. I'm going to give him some kudos because I've thrown him under the bus quite a bit today. I don't even know if you know this, but you've continued a tradition at the woodshed where if there's a FNG, someone buys their coffee. And I don't know if I don't honestly know if other AOs were doing it. I never tried to, but I started doing that late at the woodshed, and Pony has kept it going, and I do appreciate it. And you're doing a great job, man.
I thought I was just doing it on my own initiative. I didn't even know that you had started that. So,
right. No, you're copying. It's fine. It's just kind of like most of your good ideas. They're usually like some kind of iteration of something I
they're
did.
Rooted, yeah, they're rooted in something that you've done in the past. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, when we first started talking earlier in this podcast, you said, well, for me it was like really weird when I first started coming to these workouts. Like it was very regimented and military like, and I didn't know if it was for me.
Yeah.
I guess when did it switch for you? Like to where like, okay, I'm all in, and this is why I'm all in.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first workout, I kind of hated it. It was like, no, I don't think it's for me. And I thought everybody was kind of clicky because no one really, I was like running on my own. I don't think we hadn't like really developed the culture yet either of like picking up the 6 and stuff. So everybody was still kind of new to each other. Whereas now it's not that way. Right. So that was still just part of the newness of it. And so luckily, I'm not someone who just like does something once and is like, well, that sucks, I'm never coming back. So I was like, I'll give it a few more tries. So I showed up again, and I liked it better the second time. It's still not like in love with it. But actually, because I was playing all that outdoor soccer, I got injured and I couldn't do lateral stuff. I couldn't play soccer. So I was like, well, I was really getting into starting to work out. So I was like, I'll just go to this and give it a chance. And then, and that's when it kind of like just started to, it's kind of that compound effect, and keep showing up. And it was like, oh, there are some good things here. Oh, this guy's interesting. Oh, this guy, I like this guy. Oh, Brazilian wants me to queue now. Oh no. I was like, maybe I should quit. So it took, honestly, there wasn't like an exact moment. It took a little bit of just continuing to post and build those relationships. And I think, like I said, it's different back then because we were still developing that culture. Now it's pretty developed that a guy comes in and they should feel part of the group like day one, but yeah.
I love that. So as you think about kind of the tradition of, buying a new guy coffee, right? Assuming that is the goal there is to get him to cafeteria. But what other, just looking back at maybe how you've experienced things or things other guys have found helpful, what would be that piece of advice or encouragement you would give to maybe a new guy, maybe a guy that's out injured, or, just to other guys that might, be kind of trying to still find their place within F3, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Man, that's a good question. I guess I'd say I could give this advice, but I'm probably not truly following it right now. But it would be to, just keep showing up. The other thing, the real advice, actually more than that one's kind of crap. Let's give you different advice. The real one is to actually, be vulnerable, and be open with people. I think that's one of the, wait time calls cafeteria the glue, I believe. And I think the other part of that glue is the vulnerability of guys with each other and being honest. And so, if you're someone who's, there's a barrier and a wall, you're not letting guys in, it's going to be tough for them, to create a friendship. And so you got to kind of, I guess, break that barrier, that wall down a little bit, and you know, be vulnerable, be honest. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, all of our poop stinks, right? We all have problems, and so that's where, for me, the real like value of F3 is like, you can really be honest with each other, and I mean, you're not going to get judged because somebody in this group has struggled in something that you're struggling in, and a lot of times we all think we don't have the same struggles and that we're special, but you know, really we're not. So that'd be my main advice, is to just like hop in and be yourself too. You know, if you're funny, be funny. If you're very serious, be serious. But yeah.
But don't be too serious, right? I think that's
too serious. You know,
you've taught me that. You know, I think I at the time I started F3, I like, you know, I thought there was only one way to have fun in life, and then that had been very destructive. And so then I was like, you know, I gotta be serious. I can't have any fun. I think you taught me that I can have fun, but I can still do that in a responsible way. You know, I remember one time, I think it was you, that it was like a rainy morning and we were at Stinson Park, and it was just like muddy. And I remember looking over going like, our kids would be so jealous right now. We're like out playing in the mud. And I just remember like, wow, like this should be fun. Like I should be smiling more. And so it's guys like you that have helped me to do that better. Awesome. Well, we'll do Namerama. I'm Brandon Flehardy, 35, The Plague.
The Plague.
The Plague. I'm John Whitworth. I'm 29, Pony Express.
Pony Express. Hoot. Drew White, 35, Ponzi.
Nice job, man. That was great.
Thanks for asking me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.